Yo, what's up everyone? Today I'm going to show you how to create a toggleable flight move using the tag node and with my existing flight move build. Alright, so since we already have an existing flight move, let's just copy this character block and drag it right here. Now let's change the display name to toggle flight and do the same thing for the skill name. So as you can see, this is the smooth flight move that I created in my previous video. I'm not going to go through the whole process of making this flight move, because that will make this video way longer. But if you missed my previous tutorial on how I made this smooth flight move using the new look node, feel free to watch that video after this one. For now, we're just going to focus on making this flight move toggleable. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is create 3 branches. Let's name them Disable, Skill, and Stop. These 3 branches will basically control when the flight activates, when it stays active, and when it gets stopped. Now, let's go back to our default timeline. Since our flight move is already finished, we don't need to rebuild everything again. Instead, we're just going to copy all the nodes from here and paste them into our skill branch, because the skill branch is where our actual flight movement will stay. After that, let's go back to our default timeline again and delete all the nodes in here. Now we have a completely empty default timeline, and this is where we're going to create our toggle system. So the first node we're going to add is a tag node. For this one, we're going to name the tag Toggled. Set the value to 1, then toggle on check, and make sure add/remove and set are turned off. Under branch, we're going to choose the Disable branch. Basically, this tag will check if our flight is already toggled on or not. Next, we're going to add another tag node. Again, we're going to name this one Toggled. Set the value to 1 as well. For the time, we're going to set it to the highest value possible. Leave the other settings on default. Now, I'm going to add a visibility visual node. For the opacity, I'm going to set it to 1. The reason why I'm adding this is because later on, I want to transform my character into a jet plane whenever I activate the flight move. So this will help us prepare the visibility changes for that transformation. Next, let's add a branch node. Set the branch name to Skill. This will tell the timeline to run everything inside our skill branch, which contains our flight movement. And yeah, we're done here in the default timeline. Now let's move on to our skill branch. This is where we're going to add the changes needed for our actual flight toggle. First, add a tag node and place it at the very top of your timeline. For this tag node, set the tag name to Toggled. Under value, change it to 0. Toggle on check, and once again, toggle off add/remove and set. Under branch, choose the Stop branch. This will basically tell the game that when the toggle is turned off, it needs to stop the flight. Next, I'm going to add another visual node, because like I mentioned earlier, I want my character to transform into a jet plane whenever I toggle flight mode. For this example, I'm going to use a mesh visual. I'm going to add the mesh ID and texture ID of the jet plane I found on Roblox. Then, I'll adjust the size, position, and rotation until it looks good. And here's the important part. Don't forget to add the visual tag. Set the visual tag to the Stop branch. This way, whenever we toggle off the flight move, the jet plane visual will also disappear. And we're going to do the same thing with the other visual nodes we have. Every visual effect that you want to stop when the flight ends should have the Stop branch as their visual tag. Now, let's go to our Stop branch. For this one, we're actually going to leave it completely empty. This branch is only here as a stopper. Whenever the toggle is turned off, it will redirect everything here and stop all the visuals and movement connected to it. Lastly, let's go to the Disable branch. Here, we're going to add another tag node. Same process as before. Set the tag name to Toggled. Set the value to 0. Then, set the time to the highest value possible. Leave all other settings on default. Next, add a wait node and set it to 1 second. After that, add a visibility visual node. This will make my character visible again whenever I turn off the flight move. And lastly, add a cancel visual node. For the visual tag, set it to the Stop branch. And yeah, we are almost finished. The last thing we need to do is go to Properties Then toggle on no stun and no cancel. And finally, our toggleable flight move is complete. Now let's test it out and see how it looks. There you go. I just toggled the move on, and as you can see, it instantly transforms me into a jet plane. Now I can fly anywhere based on my camera direction. And take note, my friends, I'm not even pressing and holding the key while flying anymore. I simply toggle the move on, and the flight stays active. Then, if I toggle it again, boom! The flight stops, and I transform back into my normal avatar. And of course, if I toggle it one more time, you already know what happens. The jet plane transformation comes back, and I can fly again. Pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's pretty much how you can create a toggleable flight move. And remember, this doesn't only work for flight moves. You can use this same concept for any custom move that you want to make toggleable in Skill Builder. There are honestly a lot of possibilities you can create with this. So, if you learned something new from this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and as always, see you in my next one.